Boid, what is it? Well, Boid is a class-based real-time strategy game developed by Mocus. And it is in early access at the moment, which means that some parts of the game are not in it yet. For instance, the campaign. Now, Mocus has promised that upon release there will be a full campaign complete with bosses. So right now we're just looking at basically the multiplayer and playing against bots. And it's a very minimalist game. But let's jump into a match with the bots, because I have played a few matches against other players and they are much better than me, so I would lose. And it's not always easy to find a match, as there are only around 20 concurrent players at this time of day. I'll just set it to beginner, and let's find a map of some variety. As you can see, the game already ships with a it ships with a handful of maps, and you can make your own, and you'll also be able to subscribe and download maps created by other users through the Steam Workshop. Here, this is a good one. It give you a preview of the map you'll be playing on. Now basically what you start out with is a single base, which produces little sperm-like units, and you use them you convert them into other units, basically in what many would describe as a rock, paper, scissors sort of balancing. For example, right now these are scouts. Now scouts are fast and very deadly against guns, but they're also weak, and I'm not really utilizing their full potential by attacking this base over here with them. As you can see, they pretty much kicked me. Oh wait, I won. Okay. Yeah, so what you have is essentially three basic classes. You have the scouts, you have the crabs down here for the bases, and then you have gunners, which you can obtain by converting your units in this base over here. Now most areas of the map they start out as neutral, meaning that you will have to conquer them first before you can actually start converting your units in these bases. And also there are a certain number of bases that you'll need just to produce the default unit, whatever they call it. Now here is something interesting, and that is the amount of units. I've played a couple games like this before, and sometimes you want to send half of your units to go conquer something, and you can easily do that by clicking the minus sign here, or you can add more by clicking the plus sign. Okay, I gotta get going, and I want to capture this crab converting facility, let's say it is, and use it to I'm gonna turn them into my basic sperm units, whatever you want to call them, into crabs. And crabs are good for defending bases, but they're also very weak against gunners, so you want to keep them in the base. It depends upon what's attacking you and what you're attacking with, because yeah, it's very contextual. As you can see in this game, my flank is sort of protected here. I basically have to focus on only one point of the map to protect against the AI, which is down here. The AI is red. Now, one very interesting thing is that while the background is definitely, it's not a pixel art game. There's some quality textures here. The actual units are just glowing blobs, and sometimes they can look a little confusing, especially when you have like 3 or more different types of units on any given area. But I haven't had much trouble figuring out which ones are which. You can also tell the crabs, which I've selected right now, are very slow compared to the scouts. The scouts are fast, so you can use them for raid attacks or any sort of sneak attack. Now I was going to capture this one last base up on top, and then I will focus on conquering the AI. Now you can see down here there is a neutral controlled turret that prevents him from attacking me through there unless he kills it, and vice versa. And then right here in the middle of the map I have a turret myself, and the AI does as well. So basically, because scouts are rather good against turrets, we are going to convert some of my crabs into scouts. And then I might have to wait a little longer, but hopefully I'll just sort of rush down there with all these units. As you can see, okay, I haven't occupied the gunner conversion tile, I guess you could call it. And there was only one in this map, and it's sort of a point of contention between the players. So you're going to be fighting over this for most of the game. Now matches can range from anywhere from a few minutes to a half hour or more, depending upon who's playing and their play style. If you are a player who's going for you're playing against somebody who's turtling, there have been a couple of complaints in the forums that there isn't enough done to prevent turtling. But all in all, it seems to be fairly balanced. Now there are additional classes I haven't actually pointed out because they're not available in this map. But mostly there are supporting classes. They're not the essential, the big three. You might consider these the rock, paper, scissors classes. So let's take off of my scouts. I have 106. I ought to be able to kill the turret down here, the AI's turret. Go, 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 go. Oh, I converted mine all to gunners. Now that is an interesting problem, let's call it. Because when you want to capture a base, generally you end up converting the units that move into the base to that unit type, even if you don't want to. So basically I have a whole bunch of gun units here now, which means if he goes for a bunch of if he goes for a bunch of scouts, he'll see, that's why the AI is converting all their units to scouts to better attack me. Okay, let's get some more scouts. They're fast. We can get down there quickly with them and help counter or continue this offensive. Now you'll notice that while gunners have quite an advantage with their range attack, once other units get up close, they don't have that, they won't fire anymore. So you sort of want to provide a meat shield for them in the form of either crabs or scouts, which is what I'm attempting to do here. I'm not sure how effective it is. What else? You'll notice that the game doesn't actually have a background soundtrack at all. It's just the sounds of water, basically. And it's certainly the minimalist approach. There's really nothing wrong with that. It's a definite divergence from the norm. Most games will have some sort of soundtrack, but if the lack of one bugs you, you can always play whatever music you prefer. So it's not what I would consider enough of a downside to be a serious mark of any kind against the game. And my gunners are doing quite a nice job of picking off any unit, so they're providing good support for my scouts, which I only have 25 left of. Now in the unit selection panel, you'll see they're always present, and the UI design is a bit dated, I guess you could say. Modern games generally tend to minimize that area of the game when it's not in use, but you'll see here all the unit selection, the selection for all the units is available even when not all the units are actually present on the map. But it allows you to just drag and drop a line across the whole thing and then select whichever units you need to use at the time. So for example, if I wanted to only select and move the gunners, I can click the gunner symbol and then I'll only move them, and I can click it again to deselect them. and basically it deselects that one and selects what I initially selected, which means I can move the entire group. And the same goes with all other units, really doesn't matter. And like I pointed out before, you can select a group and then divide it in half. Every time you click the plus or the minus symbols, it will divide your current selection in half, which allows you to more easily manage how many units you leave in a base. For example, you don't want to just leave your base empty, right? So when you're pulling out, you might click the minus twice and cut your force down by 3/4 and just leave those behind to help defend it against easy scout attacks by your enemy. Or basically any time you need to adjust your unit composition for the sake of gameplay. So I think that's a great feature. And now you can also select units, all the units of a same kind, by double clicking them, which is pretty much a standard of the RTS genre, and I'm glad to see that present in the game. Now let's see here. I think, yeah, I've captured all his bases. So basically the AI has units yet, and we're waiting for the clock to tick down. Oh wait, there's still another base. Okay, we have one more base to capture, and then I will have won this map. Now this is just a regular skirmish. There's no progression in the game in this sense yet. Now with the multiplayer, I don't think we'll be doing I'll be showing you a multiplayer match, because like I pointed out, there aren't all that many concurrent players, and it might take a while to find a match, especially a ranked match. And even I'm not sure how well the ranking is working, because like I pointed out before, I've been paired up a few times against players who appear to be really good, or I maybe just really suck at the game, which I would not like to think I do, but it's possible. So now there's also a map editor, which is functional, although it has crashed the game for me a couple of times. It is very basic. If you ever played Worms, it will remind you of that, in where you just sort of sketch out the design of the map. That's all the real design there is, and all the textures and stuff is generated post map creation, and then you can publish the map. So there's the game keeps it fresh by allowing you to, when creating maps, it allows you to place only certain drop-off points or conversion points. So if you wanted to have a rather unbalanced map to make people try a new strategy, you could omit a certain type of unit from it just by omitting the conversion facility, the little circle, and now force them to adapt a different strategy or approach to their victory. So that's anything else. As you can see, I haven't won a single game here. Oh yes, the settings. So far the options are basic, which you would expect from a smaller game such as this. I believe it's only a 400 megabyte download. So you have borderless, full screen, and windowed, which are all great options, and even colorblind mode, which is genius considering how much this game relies on the two opposing factions, and one's green and one's red. Now there is talk of later on introducing a 4 versus 4 mode, but it's sort of up in the air yet. The developers are not sure they can actually balance it. And so for the game settings, you have just basic audio settings, mouse speed, and the resolution. So I think that pretty much covers it all. With online, like I mentioned before, you can play a ranked game. I didn't seem to have all that much luck in it. It seems like all the players are high ranked. A quick game, a custom game, and invite a friend. So for your consideration, Boid. I think I will be keeping tabs on this game and see what happens when it releases. I would definitely be interested in playing a campaign, because many of these games that focus solely on multiplayer, they sort of live and die by its player base, and if the developers manage to introduce a good campaign for it, that'll help keep it alive even after the the initial launch craze is sort of subsided, and there aren't many players playing multiplayer anymore. So I am glad they decided to go with the idea of having a single player campaign. I think that's a great direction, and it's worth keeping an eye on, and I will be excited to see what happens with it. Thank you for watching, and until next time, farewell.